There is a lot to unpack here. It was a busy, busy day. Court went on for hours. I want to bring in NewsNation national correspondent Alex Caprariello. He was in the courtroom all day today. He's joining us live outside the Latah County Courthouse. Alex, I know it was a busy day. First of all, I'm interested because it's such a small courtroom and you were right inside. What did you make of Bryan Kohberger today? Sort of what was his vibe in court?
Well, he seemed just about the same as we've seen him in previous hearings, where he doesn't really show much emotion when he comes in. When he first walks in, you can see what many people are interpreting as a smile. It's really more, to me, just a general acknowledgement to his own defense team. He was wearing a gray suit, blue striped tie, not that orange prison jumpsuit that we've seen in the past, but he was clean shaven with his hair gelled. And he really was listening very intensely as today's hearings went on. As you mentioned, it was a marathon today. Several hours, I believe more than 5 hours, much longer than the judge was even anticipating. But Bryan Kohberger was listening through it all, taking good notes, mental notes perhaps, looking at his defense team, looking at the state as they were making their arguments, of course, listening to the four witnesses. But really, he didn't show much emotion today, but was very much invested.
Yeah, he always seems very engaged and interested in what's going on and like he's paying very close attention. What about the victims' families? I know the Gonsalves family was there. Were there any others? Was the courtroom full?
Yes, more full than I've seen in past hearings. Of course, the earliest hearing, the indictment, was completely different. That was a packed courthouse. But
yeah.
Other, motion hearings that we've had over the past few weeks, it really hasn't been that full. Today was a little different. We saw it not completely at capacity, but very close to it. To your point, the Gonsalves family was there in attendance. They were sitting about 3 rows behind the prosecution next to their attorney. They also had several other people that were there as a support system that were just sort of uniting around the Gonsalves family. I would say that they also, of course, were paying very close attention, listening, because as Steve Gonsalves told Ashleigh Banfield last night, this is all about him seeking justice for his daughter and for the 3 other victims. I noticed that Mr. Gonsalves was wearing that bracelet that we've seen him in the past, the one with all 4 victims, Idaho Strong, written around it. And of course, they were being sort of supportive of each other inside those courtroom benches, putting their arms around each other, listening and turning to their attorney every once in a while, and of course paying attention to every word that was spoken. One last note about the Gonsalves family, Bryan. After the hearing ended, I approached them and I asked them whether or not there was anything that they wanted to share today that I could share with you tonight. They basically just said they are drained. Today was a very long day with a lot of information, and they just said they need more time to process it all.
Yeah, and also it's just such a small courtroom. The thought that they sit inside that courtroom so close to the man accused of killing. I mean, it's a lot to wrap your mind around. I want to ask you, though, about these DNA witnesses, because it seemed like most of the day was taken up by the topic of DNA, and I believe it was 4 witnesses who were on the stand discussing the DNA. A lot of it was complicated, a lot of it dragged on. What would you say the big takeaway was?
Yeah, a lot of it was very industry-oriented, a lot of jargon when it comes to DNA investigative techniques. But the overall big picture that I took away was the fact that this type of investigative process is very long, lengthy, and difficult. And I really think that's the point that the defense was trying to make by calling these witnesses up, because it takes a long time to actually match a DNA profile to an unknown individual. One of the witnesses said it took 14 months for her to actually do so in a different case that she was actually examining. So the point being, the defense says, with it taking so long, with so many hands that are involved in it that are trying to make sure that they come to the right conclusion, there's got to be more documentation. There's got to be more filings out there that we do not have right now. Now, to the prosecution's point, they said, listen, we've given you everything that we have. I'm not sure what else you want, because at this point it just seems like speculation that you believe that there's other things that are out there that you don't have. But really, at this point, the judge is going to listen to both of those arguments. Again, he's going to review the record that was all on the record today, and he'll likely issue a written decision about that later on.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.